Yeah, hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank I am playing is the Matilda 4. This is a Russian Tier 5 medium tank. The map is Highway. I am going to get 5 kills in this game. I'm going to do 1,500 damage. I love the Matilda 4. It's one of the first tanks I ever bought. The first couple of weeks I was playing World of Tanks, I bought this tank. Now I'm at the point where every time I play I get 5 or 6 kills. I do really well. It's got a decent penetrating gun. It's got great armor, including great side armor, and it's got a fast reload. One of the advantages of this tank is that because it's slow, by the time you get to battle, your enemy's teams are going to be worn down a little bit. So they will be one-shots. You'll have a lot of one-shots, and you just go pew, 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 and just finish them off. I am an aggressive player. I'm going to just give you an overview on the map. I don't do what these other people do. They ride along the side because they don't want to get hit or they don't want to get spotted. Or people do it going into town, like you see that there's a tank all the way on the red line, the M4. I am not afraid to confront the enemy. I don't want to do it out in the open, but I'm looking to see, well, I'm going to cross over, take the shortest path. I want to confront the enemy. I want to find bushes to hide in, solid objects. As long as I'm behind this slope on this road, I'm going to be safe. And you can actually go over the road, and there's lots of solid objects where you can advance and still be safe. One of the reasons why I like to be close to the enemy is because you get more experience, because you're doing self-spotting. When your allies do the spotting for you, and you're behind your allies, you get less experience. And I do play for experience. I don't play to maximize damage. I don't play to get kills. I play to get as much experience as possible so I can level up my crews and level up my tanks very quickly.
Ready to fire.
Now, because the enemy was spotted, I stopped my tank and I immediately look for an opportunity to shoot at them. I'm actually in a good location. Number one, I've got bushes in front of me which are going to cover my fire. Number two, if you look at the map, you'll see that there's a green circle which is my spotting distance. I've got a very good spotting range because I use coated optics on all of my tanks. Being able to see the enemy before they see you gives you a huge advantage. Chances are those tanks have their green circle. Chances are I'm outside of their spotting range. So chances are they can't see me even if I fire from out in the open. Second of all, there's a white circle, which is the maximum spotting distance. One thing that I can do is if I wanted to, I could reverse a short distance, like to the other side of the water, so that they're beyond the white circle but within the yellow circle. I would be able to fire at them all that I want and they would never spot me. Obviously you could be spotted by other people in the game, but that's the technique. If these were the last tanks in the game and it was just me against them and I spotted them, you would want to go further away so that they're beyond the white circle, shoot at them. As long as you can still spot them, they'll never see you. And then go back in to respot and reverse to unspot. If your green circle and white circle are the same distance, you only have to move a very short distance, like a couple meters, and you can do that method. Okay, so let's continue.
Target unlocked.
You'll notice that whether I use the auto aim or not, my shots don't have the accuracy to hit them at this distance.
Penetration. Target acquired.
And obviously I decided to hit the T-34 because he was stationary. The reason why I moved is because the water tower and the house were blocking my shot on him. So I decided to move. He's a bigger target. He's stationary. I had to move in order to get the shots in.
Target unlocked.
The other thing that I'm doing lately, sometimes you only see the very top of a tank as they disappear behind the hill. You have a very low chance of hitting them. But my theory is you have nothing to lose by shooting at them. So what I'm actually doing is, even if I only see a little sliver, as long as I've got the rounds, I fire at them. And I have had occasional success. Very rarely it works, but it does occasionally work. Now, in this type of a case, they're behind a slope, which means, and I'm low. In order for me to hit them, they either have to come over the slope, which they're very unlikely to do, or I have to go higher. I have to go to higher ground. So it's to my benefit to get to higher ground, or to otherwise get closer to them.
Target acquired.
I was very happy to see that tank. Like, easy target.
Mission to engage. Enemy is hit. I don't see the target. Target acquired. Target released.
So even though he wasn't spotted, I continued shooting at him.
We didn't even scratch them. Permission to engage. Penetration. Enemy is hit.
If I were on a flat surface in this situation, I would turn my tank to angle it so the frontal armor is facing him. But it's not a wise idea to do it here on the slope. I don't want to screw up my gun depression. So I chose not to do it.
Scratch them. We didn't penetrate their armor.
Now you'll notice I had 2 or 3 failed penetrations, so I did switch to the APCR rounds, which are also known as the gold rounds.
Enemy armor is hit. Gotcha.
So that's my first kill. Now, one thing you're going to notice that I don't know if I noticed it at that time, my allies that were up on the hill, they're all dead. So I can't expect them to spot anymore. It looks like there was a possibility. Now notice that I'm turning my tank while I'm turning my gun, and it makes the gun spin around faster.
Target unlocked.
And I also switch back to regular rounds. Obviously the side armor is easier to penetrate. Now you'll notice the M4 is slowing down as he's going up the hill. So that means that I could switch to the auto aim, and it would be easier for me to, I would increase the chance of hitting him with the auto aim.
Enemy is hit. Target acquired.
And you'll also notice that as soon as I put the auto aim, I zoomed out. And the reason why is because I am looking, I know he has enemy tanks over here. He has his allies. So I zoomed out so I could keep an eye on the field and monitor what's going on.
Penetration. They're knocked out. Ready to fire. Enemy armor is damaged.
So I've got 2 kills. Score is 9-5. I'm pretty sure that there's more enemy tanks to the northwest, but I'm really not sure. There might be a T-67. Very important to keep track of that.
Track hit. Permission to engage.
Now, as you can see, someone hit me from behind, and it came from that direction. So there's an enemy tank off there in the distance. He might be beyond my spotting range, so I won't be able to spot him.
Where'd they go?
And it looks like he's killing off my allies, too. And he's hitting me again. So I'm going to get behind that building. And be aware, these buildings, some of them are solid. These look like solid buildings. These are not solid buildings. You can destroy these buildings. You can shoot through them. In fact, there was a game where we were circling around a building just like this, but it was at the cap. And it was like, something like a Waffenträger. And his tank was far more powerful than my tank. He could easily have killed me. But what happened was when we came through the middle and he was on the other side and I was on this side, I actually fired through the building, and I killed him. You have to, please, you should take notice and be aware that you can fire through buildings like this. One thing that you're going to notice if you look at my allies, I don't know how long our team Artie has been in that position, but he should have left a long time ago. As soon as the enemy started crossing that river, he should have left the base, gone into the town, and fired from the town using the buildings to block him. And once all of his allies are dead, any spot between the town and our team, which is that Matilda BP, he should have taken up a position in that area where he is. If you look on the 9 column, he should have been on the 9 column or in the J8 area so that he could duck behind a building for safety but still go out and have a clear shot. There's no reason to stay back at base. If you watch me when I play Artie, I almost never stay at base. I'm always moving around, even from the beginning of the game. So I've got 3 kills.
Target acquired. Enemy is hit.
Keep in mind you can shoot under those structures.
Penetration.
Note that I did turn my tank to keep the frontal armor pointed towards them, even though it's not the correct angle.
They're knocked out. Target acquired. We didn't penetrate their armor. Enemy vehicle destroyed.
So that is 5 kills. I did not repair my tracks fast enough. If I had repaired my tracks faster, I may have prevented the fact that he set me on fire. So let's watch this again and we'll see what happened. There is a chance, like I said, that you can shoot under these buildings to hit that tank, but I don't think it's going to happen in this case. In addition, that tank at some point becomes a bigger threat because I can actually, well, maybe not. I thought that there was a chance I could get away from this tank by going down the slope, but it looks like I can't. So we kill him, hit him again. Now, I was too slow to react to this Type T-34. He is going to track me right there. And the other thing is, if I had reversed, he would not have been able to get behind me, which would have decreased the chance that he would have set me on fire. Now, there are people that say that you can put out a fire by using a repair kit and repairing the fuel tank or the engine. For example, you can do it with the large repair kit. You'll note that I used my large repair kit and I repaired all of my damaged modules. And I've tested this theory, and in general, I would say it's not true. If I've been caught on fire, let's say 20 times, and I used the large repair kit to try and put out the fire, I would say it worked maybe once, and the other 18 or 19 times it just has not worked. And I've tried doing it immediately. I've tried doing it when I'm almost about to die. I've tried doing it somewhat halfway. I do not believe that large repair kits can put out fires. You will notice that the fire apparently actually did go out. But that's what the message said underneath. But apparently I was killed by a Churchill on the enemy team. And I'm guessing that the Churchill is the one that's off there in the distance. Okay, so one of the things you're going to say is, why don't I use the automatic fire extinguisher? And for most of my tanks, I do not use an automatic fire extinguisher. I used to use the automatic fire extinguisher. But what happened was, and I've got 200 automatic fire extinguishers in my account. I got plenty of them. What I discovered is I'm more likely to have injured crew members than be set on fire. If you get set on fire, let's say 1 out of every 50 games, but you might have an injured crew member 1 out of every 3 or 4 games, especially if you're in a close-up battle. Some crew members, I don't care. I don't care if the commander gets injured, but the driver, the loader, and the gunner have a big impact. The loader will reduce your load time by half. The driver will make it so you don't have the speed to drive around. The gunner will make your aim go off, and I've had a lot of games ruined because a crew member was injured. So what I've been doing is using the large first aid kit, and I've been using it to repair my crew members, and it gives extra protection to your crew members also. And I've just been suffering at being set on fire. After playing for a couple of months using this method, I've decided to stay with that method of using the large first aid kit and 2 repair kits and not using the automatic fire extinguisher. The exception is that I would use it with an artillery unit or perhaps with a light tank because they're one-shots. Any tank that's a one-shot, there's no sense in having 2 repair kits. So I use the large repair kit, large fire extinguisher, and large first aid kit on any tank that would be a one-shot. Okay, so that's the game. I got 5 kills. I got 1,500 damage. I'm sure we're going to win this game. The map was Highway. It's the Matilda 4. It's a Russian Tier 5 medium tank. It's a premium tank. The question is it worth it to buy this tank? It's not expensive. It's perhaps $10 to $15. It was one of the first tanks I bought. When I started out as a player, this was one of my favorite tanks. Now I almost always get 5-kill games. It's got a great gun, great armor. It's a little bit moderate speed. I love playing it. I love the crew experience. I would say for Tier 5, if you had to make a choice what Tier 5 tank to buy, I would say there's lots of Tier 5 premium tanks that I recommend. I'd say the Ram 2, excellent tank. I get great games out of the Ram 2. The Ram 2 is a tank that I've come close to getting 12 kills in one game. The Excelsior is a Tier 5 tank that I absolutely love. I've got an 81% win ratio in the Excelsior. I would say that if you had to choose, I would go with the Excelsior or the Ram 2 before I get the Matilda. However, I would say that the Matilda is still a good choice. It's not a poor choice. I don't think you're going to be that disappointed. However, don't expect to have a high-speed game with the Matilda 4. The good news is that you can get the regular Matilda and kind of test it out and see the feel of it. Get the Valentine light tanks, which is kind of like a Matilda. Then get the Matilda, the Tier 4 British Matilda. Get the feel for it. If you like it, decide if you want to buy it. Now, there's also the Matilda BP. Between the Matilda BP and the Matilda 4, which one is better? The Matilda BP, I believe, fires faster, like 2 seconds, but does less damage. I kind of like the Matilda 4 better, but then again, I've been playing it a lot longer. Comparing the two, I don't know which one is better, but I would say you should be happy with the Matilda 4. If I had to decide right now, I would choose a Matilda 4 over the Matilda BP. Okay, so that's the game. If you have any questions or comments, please post below. And if you're interested in joining CBKS, the Clan CBKS or CBKS2, you're welcome to join. You can contact one of our recruiters, and I'm sure they'll be more than happy to add you to the team.